In the dark and twisted realm of Grimwood, where the sky was perpetually overcast, and the inhabitants were just as gloomy, two unlikely companions walked along a wooded path. Rancid, the dark elf ranger and wizard, had skin the color of midnight and a penchant for sarcasm. Shannon, a high elf wizard and monk, was an odd mix of grace and snark, with long golden hair that shimmered like sunlight on a dreary day. Logan. The two elves, bound together by their mutual love for caustic wit and saving the day, were strolling through the forest, trading quips and snide remarks about the latest exploits of their fellow adventurers. Suddenly, Rancid stopped in his tracks, his pointed ears perking up. "Do you hear that?" he asked, his eyes narrowing. Shannon listened carefully, smirking as she caught the distant sound. "Ah yes, the melodious sound of orcish footsteps. It's like a symphony to my ears." As they crept closer, the elves caught sight of a horde of orcs lined up and marching towards a nearby village. Their numbers were staggering, but what caught their attention was the single, monstrous giant orc that accompanied the army. "Well, isn't he a charmer?" Rancid remarked dryly. "It's as if a troll and an ogre had a baby, and it was raised by an exceptionally ugly rock." Shannon snorted, nodding in agreement. "A face only a mother could love, if she was blind, that is." Knowing that they had to act fast to save the village, the two elves began to stealthily approach the orcish army. As they neared, they shared a knowing look and began to chant in unison, casting a powerful meteor shower spell. With a roar, meteors rained down from the sky, slamming into the orc horde with devastating force. The orcs were obliterated, the sounds of their demise echoing throughout the forest. However, the giant orc remained standing, seemingly unfazed by the destruction around him. Rancid and Shannon emerged from their hiding place, casually strolling towards the giant orc, who snarled at their approach. "Oh, don't mind us," Rancid called out with a sarcastic grin. "We just wanted to drop in and say hello." Shannon smirked, adding, "We thought you could use a little excitement in your life." Things were looking a bit dull. The giant orc growled menacingly, but Rancid just waved him off. "Oh, come now. No need to be grumpy. You should be grateful we left you someone to play with," he said, pointing up just over the orc's head. The giant orc, puzzled, followed Rancid's gesture and looked up, his eyes widening in terror as he saw his doom approaching. A giant, fiery meteor was hurtling straight towards him. With a deafening crash, the meteor slammed into the orc, engulfing him in flames before exploding in a brilliant burst of light. As the dust settled, Rancid and Shannon turned away from the smoldering remains of the giant orc, laughing heartily. "Well, that was a blast," Rancid quipped, wiping a tear from his eye. Shannon nodded, chuckling, quite literally. It's not every day you get to watch a giant orc go out with a bang. The two elves continued to walk away from the battlefield, trading dumb jokes about orcs and their unfortunate demise. Rancid started, "Why did the orc cross the road?" "To get to the other slaughter." Shannon laughed, adding her own, "What's the difference between an orc and a bucket of manure?" "The bucket." Rancid snickered, throwing in another, "Why don't orcs make good comedians? They always butcher the punchline." Shannon grinned, offering up another, "How do you make an orc laugh on a Saturday night? Show them a map of the places they'll never conquer." Their laughter echoed through the grim forest. Together, Rancid and Shannon continued on their adventures, always ready with a witty remark and a spell up their sleeves.